Hey guys, so welcome to my video. It's story time. Let me make sure my lights are on so you all can see. I realized my last video, I don't think I had the lights on. So, random story time. So, yesterday I was walking to my class and my cane got stuck in a hole slash, well, not really a hole, it was like a sign, and I yanked it out and my tip broke. So, I'm gonna show you guys, I don't know if you can see it, but here's the tip. Okay, and there's a little piece that goes on the bottom. So on the top it hooks to the cane. I don't know if you guys can see it. I'm gonna kind of back it up some more. Okay, I don't know. Anyway, so basically, if you don't know what I'm showing you, you can look it up. This is a high mileage tip. So on the bottom, it had a little round-ish, like pencil tip kind of thing. I'm sorry, sighted people, you don't know what I'm talking about, but it's a high mileage tip. It's really fancy. I love it. It's really small. There's supposed to be another part on this, but it's sort of like a peg pretty much now because there's nothing on the bottom to hook it into. Anyway, so I was walking, having a good time. Well, not really, it was cold. But anyway, I was walking to class and my tip broke. And I knew something was wrong because I kept walking and my cane just sort of, kind of like when you use a support cane as a blindness cane and it just sort of drags the ground, it doesn't want to go, it's not good. It did not work. I kept slowing down. It literally took me 20 minutes longer to get to class with that cane because I couldn't go back. I was already across the street. It was 7 a.m. Who's going to be up at 7 a.m. to help me get a different cane? So I made it to class. Again, it took me a long time. I was very angry just because my tip broke and I had a lot to do yesterday and I was just very upset. Granted, it was no one's fault. It was just perks of being blind where you get angry because, well, actually, the reason why I got angry is because I knew that it was broken, but I didn't realize until afterwards, and it frustrated me because I mentioned several times for the, what broke my cane tip to be taken care of, and it wasn't, so it's very frustrating. So, since I can't use this tip anymore, my little bitty folding wonderful cane that I love so much, it's very light, it's like swinging, it's like having freedom, you know? I can't use that anymore because I don't have the right tip. I tried to use a different tip. I only have one more tip and it was too big for the cane, so it just made it lopsided. So now I'm back to the old friend of mine named Tom. Yes, his name is Tom. I named my canes. Not weird at all. My folding graphite cane is Rocky. Rocky's cool. So here's Tom. So Tom is a rigid cane, so it does not fold. And my other cane had 5 sections. This one has 1 because it does not fold. The tip is just a regular hook-on tip, rolling tip, and it's light, but I don't know if you can hear this, but it's vibrating all the way up my arm. I'm not used to that. I've had the folding cane for about 5 years now. No. 4.5, 5, somewhere around there. And I'm not used to this vibration anymore. It's hard. This cane's thicker than my other one a little bit. It's bottom heavy, so whenever I sweep, I miss things because the tip is too big. Just because I'm used to using a smaller one here on campus. There's some little things that I had to find that I'm used to using my small tip for, and the big tip just sounds different, and I'm ranting, I apologize. But that's one of the sad parts about being blind is getting a cane, having to use a different cane, and people don't understand that when you use a different cane, it's not the same. It's not like it's kind of like a sighted person getting glasses, and then you wear someone out, like an old pair, and you're like, what? I can't see anything. It's kind of like that. So the reason why I made this video is to show you, or explain to you guys a story that happened besides my cane breaking. So I went to an event yesterday, and I was able to get there on my own. I had some help getting there because I did not feel comfortable using this cane, mainly because I had to use it for like an hour, and I just didn't know what to do. It just wasn't working. So whenever I was leaving, it was dark outside. And I get really bad migraines, and so I knew I probably shouldn't walk alone because sometimes they get really bad and I get a little disoriented and all that. So I was walking and I asked for help to get back to my dorm, and people literally said no. Which, okay, as a blind person, I kind of expect some sighted people to say no. You know, they don't have time, or they just, you know, it's whatever. But there was 6 people, or smaller, I don't know. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, I have to tell the truth. If you're watching this and you were one of the people in this group, probably not though. Anyway, if you are, sorry, but that's how it is. So anyway, they refused to help me. They said they weren't ready to leave, and I said that's fine, I can wait. But they didn't seem interested to help me. I was like, I have to go. I have homework to do. You know, it's late-ish. You know, it's Friday night. It's late. I got stuff to do. Well, they said, why don't you call the campus police? Because they do an escort service where they will literally escort you to your dorm. I said, well, that'll be okay, but there's 6 of you in this room that can help me out, and you're sighted. So why don't one of you help me? I mean, I can wait a couple minutes, but I'm not going to wait 3 hours on help, you know. I said, the only reason why I'm asking is because I have a different cane. I explained the whole cane deal. I'm not comfortable with this cane. I will try to video whenever I walk to another place I'm walking to in about 2 hours. Yeah, so I hate this cane. So I ended up walking back on my own, and I made it. But by the time I got back, I don't cry a lot, but this week's had a lot going on, and with accessibility wise, it's been challenging. So I was on the sidewalk, the winding sidewalk, and I went over to the trees because a friend of mine was calling me a blind friend, and I just started crying, and I was like, oh my gosh, people are gonna think I'm nuts. So I run inside. No one knows that I'm like half crying. The glasses are great for catching your tears. No one knows you're crying. There you go. That's why I wear sunglasses. I'm not actually blind. I literally cry, and they can't see me crying. So it's kind of nice. Anyway, so this week's been really hard with accessibility wise with college. It's not everything. It's just people don't understand that being a blind person is not always easy. They think it's cool. I get to use all this technology. Either that or they feel really sorry for you. And I'm like, don't feel sorry for me. But if I ask for help, at least attempt to help me, you know? Is it really that much to ask for someone to help me? And for those of you that are sighted that are watching this, I appreciate those of you who go out of your way to help someone with a disability, because we appreciate it. I'm not saying we need help all the time, because we don't. But for those of you that are doing it the right way, that are going and being like, hey, would you like some assistance? I really appreciate that, because some people don't. They just walk right on by. You can literally stand in the middle of a street and say, hey, I need some help. You know, like for example, the other week, there was a giant truck that was parked in the middle of a random place that they're not even supposed to park. I don't even know what they were doing there, but it was weird. And so it was on, and I couldn't hear where I was going. And I had to find a landmark because it was blocking my landmark. And I was like, crap, what am I going to do? How am I going to do this? So I start walking. Luckily, someone asked if I needed help. And they knew me, and so I knew they were talking to me. And I was like, thank you so much for asking me if I needed help. Because you didn't grab me, and you didn't, like, force my arm to come with you. You asked if I needed help, and I accepted, and you showed me how to get around the truck. And it's like, it's not that hard to ask. It's not that hard to I'm sorry. Excuse me, let me start over. It's not that hard for those of you who want to help us to help us. We normally don't need that much. We just maybe need like a door held, or a maybe you just speak something more clearly, like if you're hard of hearing, or for me in my case it's blindness, just guiding us around one little area. We don't need that much. I just needed a couple areas last night being guided, because I knew that I wouldn't be able to walk a straight line because the arc of this cane just kind of goes everywhere. I can control it a little bit, but it was cold and I didn't want to walk in the cold, and sighted people can walk a little bit faster than me with a cane. So, or guide dog people, they can walk a lot faster than me. So, you know, it's just frustrating because I asked for help and no one would give it, and I managed on my own. It's just the point that it was snowing outside, and I really wanted help. And nothing against the public campus police here. They're great, but if there's other people around, I expect them to help me and not someone else from an outside source, because it's like, what's wrong with our society today? Like, if there's like 7 people and none of them help you, it's like, what's wrong with you people, you know? And one person did ask if I needed help. They waited till we got outside and they were like, would you like some assistance? And I said, well, no thank you, you know, and I had to turn them down only because I knew that they were just asking to be nice. They didn't actually want to help me, and I don't do that. I'm not the person that's like, oh, okay, good, well then help me. Because I understand people may feel like outcasts in a group if they help people with disabilities. You know, it's like the whole going back into high school where you talk to the person with a disability, oh my gosh, you know, you're, you know, all these stigmas and stuff. So I don't want them to feel uncomfortable helping me. It's just, it's frustrating, you know, and this week's been challenging with accessibility issues online. My classes I'm behind in because teachers have added more work for me because they made some of their stuff inaccessible, which means I get it late, which means it cannot be made accessible in time, which means I'm behind. So, and you're asking why am I making this video if I'm behind, but I'm to the point where I have to do something else besides work because I get really stressed out. We're almost in finals. Yeah, we're getting there. I also found out yesterday that one of my professors stood up for me, and I almost cried. We were in lab, and I found out that some of the professors did not want to teach a blind student in their class, and this professor stood up for me. They said, well, I'm not going to teach this student unless you provide a one-on-one lab with the student and I, so I can teach her how to do this stuff. And my professor went to the restroom, and I was almost crying because I was like, this random person I don't even know, never met me, this guy just knew my name, you know, and they knew I was blind, but they didn't understand how blind I was. That they didn't even know anything about me, if I was smart enough, if I was just gonna goof off in the course, if I really cared about the course. And they stood up for me, and they didn't even know my name. I mean, okay, they knew my name. I think they knew. I don't even know what they knew, but they knew a limited amount of information about me, and they stood up for me. And I was just like, can I cry? Because, like, people in the world don't normally do that, you know? They don't stand up for you. They assume, they let their expectations rule them. So they're like, oh, well, you're blind, so you can't do this. You can't do anatomy because that's a sighted thing. How are you going to dissect? How are you going to do microscopes? All these questions. And he was like, yeah, we'll figure it out. And I'm like, thank you, you know? And I'm sorry, I'm like tearing up right now. Just like I've never had that experience with teachers that actually cared. I have had a couple, but they were just so confused and so lost on what to do. And they knew coming in that it would be hard, but they didn't know, they already knew me, you know? It wasn't like, oh, random person. It was like, hey, I know you. You were here last year, you know? And coming into the college level, they had no idea who I was. They didn't know me from some random person on the street, you know? And I guess the compassion just really got me, you know? Because, like, I know I have a disability. I know it is hard teaching a blind person, trust me. I know it takes a lot of patience and a lot of time, and I really appreciate this professor taking that time to do that. And he was like, no, I asked for one favor. And I was like, sure. And he was like, just make sure to put me on Rate Your Professor and write something nice. And I was like, well, dude, I'm gonna do more than that, trust me, because, like, I don't think this professor understands how deeply that touched me. It was like, I don't even know, like, I don't even have any words for it. It's just the idea that they actually cared enough to fight for me when no one else would. And, like, it's just, wow, you know? I don't even know what to say. I don't have any words for it. but I really, really appreciate this professor, and I'm not gonna say their name, but if you know me personally, you have a general idea of who it is. I love this professor. At first, I was not sure. I was like, crap, I'm in anatomy. What am I gonna do? I heard this professor was like the worst one in the world, and how am I gonna handle this? And so finding that out yesterday, after the day I had, with all the inaccessibility and a bunch of other health concerns that are going on with me right now, it was just like, wow, it was so nice to hear that someone actually cared enough to fight for me before they even knew me. And I don't even know what to say about that. So for those of you who know someone who has a disability, or even if you don't and you see someone on the street, like, go say hi to them and be like, hey man, how are you? Like, be chill to them, because we're just like you guys, and we love when people treat us like normal. When they don't like, the thing that annoys me the most is when they talk to someone else that's next to you. They're like, you walk to a restaurant and they're all like, how can I help you? And you think they're talking to you and you talk, and then someone like points to you and they're like, no, they're not talking to you, they're talking to me. They're like, okay, so then you let the person next to you order, and then they go, now what would she like with her order? And then me being me, I'm like, oh, well, I would like some, whatever I want. And then they go, okay. Then they go, would she like beans and rice with that? I'm like, hello, I just spoke, like, I'm right here. I'm a person, And so that's the thing, like, being treated like a person is so important. Having a disability, they treat you like that's the only thing you are. It's just that disability, just that label. If you're in a wheelchair, they're like, oh, well, you're just that wheelchair kid. They don't know your name. If they know your name, they just know you as, hey, I saw Eric today. And the other one's like, oh, who's Eric? And you're like, oh, well, the kid in the wheelchair. They don't know you by anything else but your disability. And that just really bothers me a lot. And so, yeah, I'm sorry I'm ranting, but this video, like, treat us like people. We do deserve the same rights as you guys. You may not think that, because you may think, okay, well, why do cars need to be accessible for blind people if blind people can't drive? But you have to understand, with this new technology, we're going to be able to drive eventually. It may not happen like next year or maybe 10 years from now, but it could. Like, who would have thought that I would be here in like 1700s, 1800s? Who would have thought that a blind person would be in college? Obviously I wasn't born then, but looking back in the history, I'm like, I'm here. And it's not even that far since this 1800s, It's just amazing how much society has changed, how accepting the majority of people are with disabilities, but yet how you have those couple of people that can just ruin your day, just make you angry about people in general and make you cry. And I hate crying because I don't cry a lot, and so if I cry, I'm normally really upset about everything. It just kind of boils up, And so if you see someone, treat them like people. We are people, and we do deserve your respect. We also deserve your help. You would help a sighted person or any non-disabled person that was struggling. You would help them. So help us too. But I'm not asking you to be our parents. I'm not asking you to be overprotective of us, to assume that we can't do anything. Don't assume that just because you don't have a disability that you know everything about us, because you don't. You don't know what I can see, what I can't see. You don't know what it's like to be in a wheelchair, so don't feel sorry for us. We don't want your pity. And don't help us too much. If we want help, we will ask. But for me, for example, let us know. Because I'm blind. I don't know you're there half the time, unless you speak. So if we look like we need help, say, hey, may I help you? Would you like some assistance? But keep in mind, we don't know you're there. So make it known that you're there, but don't be all around us like you're like our guardian angel, We got it. We're disabled people, but we can handle things. We can do pretty much everything you do. We may do it differently. We may take longer. Literally, it may take us 20 minutes longer to get to class, like for me, but we can do it, So respect us in the fact that we know what we can do, but also offer your assistance. Now don't offer us like 10 times. Just once is okay, you know. But then if we need your help, we'll say, hey, excuse me, would you mind? I know I said I didn't need your help, but now I do, so would you mind helping me? And don't be offended if we say no, that we don't want your help. I've done it a lot with a lot of people, and they get angry, and I'm like, guys, I got it, you know, I don't need your help. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for asking, but I'm okay. So please don't get angry, but don't treat it like we're your projects, you know, like we're your projects where you have to go help. Like, we're not. We're people too. We may need a little bit of help, but we're not some museum display where you can stare at us constantly to watch to see if we fail. That's what I hate about being disabled. One of the big things for me, people judge so much. If I make a mistake, if I turn wrong, if I even miss something by 2 inches, or I trip on a curb, they consider that as blindness, and they don't consider me as a person. Like, okay, you guys tripped too, you're sighted. So don't judge me just because I do something that you assume is because of blindness, because maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's just me, that's not you guys. So don't judge us so harshly. If you know, you don't know what it's like. We may be just having a really off day. You guys have your off days too. So don't judge us. And I'm sorry this video is super long, I apologize. Yeah, that's my video. With regards to inaccessibility, people not helping, and what to do in that situation. You know, I appreciate those of you who do help. You're very much appreciated. Some of my apps that I use, great apps, great technology, great people. I love you guys, and I'm not just saying that with just blurting it out. I'm sincere. I really appreciate all of you who help the disabled people, because not saying we need it all the time, as I mentioned earlier, but we do appreciate those who actually care and treat us like people. So thank you, and have a great day.